Time on Love 101 is now 7 a.m., and you are now invited to listen to the Morning Watch with Stokeley Marshall.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us by the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live in the first watch today. C-Talk, gutted. Smarter policing or a risky reset. And in second watch, pets versus children. Are we preferring to parent pets? I'm having a difficulty even just reading that question. For our social media question, we ask, have recent police scandals affected your trust in law enforcement? Share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp, 876-997-3125, using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your response later on the program, but first, here's I quote.
All right, good morning. Today's I quote says, you can't read the label from inside the jar. This one is from David C. Baker.
I will let that one be decoded by those watching and listening. Good morning, Jukal.
Good morning.
The first watch will be back after this break.
Life can feel overwhelming at times, but you don't have to face it alone. The Ministry of Counseling and Prayer of the Edgewater Baptist Church is here to support you with our caring and confidential telephone counseling service. Whatever you're going through, grief, stress, family challenges, or just feeling stuck, our trained counselors are ready to listen, pray, and guide you toward hope and healing. Take the first step today. Call us at 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Help is available through the Prayer and Counseling Ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Remember, help is just a phone call away. That's 876-220-6474 or 876-332-7956. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Call now and let us walk this journey with you.
Cause you pop straight. Love takes center stage, but not the easy kind. It's the month of love, and we're diving deep into two powerful biblical love stories, Hosea and Gomer, and Jacob and Rachel. One shows a love that waits patiently, the other a love that pursues relentlessly, even after betrayal. Tuesday, February 10, on The Rock, join guests Reverend Dr. Ralston Nemard and Raphael Gale as they talk about what these relationships teach us about marriage, commitment, forgiveness, and the way God loves us with a love that never gives up. Listen as they unpack the lessons, warnings, and the hope hidden in these unforgettable stories. And in Now Time Revelations feature, we turn our attention to leadership, from political scandals to moral decline in governments, through the lens of 2 Timothy 3, 1-5, and Isaiah 3, verse 12. All this and more on The Rock, Tuesday, February 10 at 10 a.m. right here on the family station, Love 101. February is the month of love. However, when love turns toxic and spills into the digital space, it can quickly become abuse, harassment, or cyber stalking. On the next Campus Connection, we shine a spotlight on Cyber Love Gone Bad, Part 2. Join us as Detective Corporal Andre Murray from the Forensic Services Branch of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, alongside Sharian Grant, UCCF Student Advisor, and Kenneth Roy Clark, UWI UCCF Vice President, unpack how young people can respond when a former partner uses social media, messaging apps, or public forums to intimidate, shame, or damage reputations. And don't miss our honor roll segment with Miss Sandra Rowe, retired educator who served in various capacities for over 37 years at Tatius Golding High School. Campus Connection is proudly brought to you by the Live Good Anti-Violence Campaign, an initiative of the Ministry of National Security and Peace, Jamaica's partner in advancing progress and building peace. Tune in on Tuesday, February 10 at 5:30 p.m. on Love 101, the family station, celebrating 33 years shining the light of Christ to the world.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch. And this week, one of the lead stories, a major shift in the Jamaica Constabulary Force's approach to tackling organized crime and terrorism. Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake has issued force orders that effectively, it appears, certainly results in a change in how investigations are handled. The Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Investigations Branch, quite a number of movements in terms of personnel being made, and a new unit is being used, it would appear, to carry out some of those functions and to incorporate the work or other units in the Jamaican Constabulary Force. So what we have is a new specialized investigation branch. The abbreviation is SIB. And for some people, there is a level of confusion, and for others, some concerns, and for others, questions. Well, we're not here to moralize on the matter per se, but we would like to have a conversation about it to see what these changes are likely to be and what efficiencies can be gained from it, and what are the concerns or what some people might regard as potential pitfalls. What are the facts, the context, and the big issues that people might be thinking about? We have so far to have a conversation about this Michael Diamond, attorney at law, lawyer, President Consumers Intervention, Jamaica. Michael Diamond, good morning. Mr. Diamond. I think you're muted, Mr. Diamond.
Good morning, Sir Stokeley, and of course, good morning to our listeners.
Well, thank you. Now, I am going to, for some context, because of course we like to rely on facts in the morning watch, and we want to be very careful in terms of what we present to the public. There is actually a Jamaica Observer article dated February the 9th, 2026. The topic, interestingly, is CTOC gutted. And Police Commissioner signals end. This is what it reads. Police Commissioner signals end of 11-year-old elite investigative unit. And there are already some comments in relation to this article. It's online. Blake, a photograph of the Police Commissioner, Blake. We sometimes have to make sweeping changes to our structures, processes, and systems. And just a little bit of the article here. Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake has gutted the Counter-Terrorism and Organized Crime Investigation Branch, CTOC, with more than 40 of its members being transferred, sparking speculation that the 11-year-old unit is being disbanded. and I'm careful to say sparking speculation. CTOC was officially formed in January 2015 through the merger of the Organized Crime Investigation Division, OCID, and the Flying Squad to strengthen Jamaica's capacity to combat terrorism and organized crime. But in the latest weekly force orders published last Friday, Blake announced the formation of a specialized investigation branch, SIB or SIB, under the crime portfolio, with its mandate seeming very similar to CTOC. So that's one of the things, Mr. Diamond, persons are, well, arguably, well, certainly it reads here in the article, its mandate seeming very similar to CTOC, but are there any differences? Well, let's read. Quote, the SIB is designed to forge powerful synergies, synchronize operations, and enhance to enhance force-wide effectiveness in dismantling criminal networks and addressing endemic crime patterns across Jamaica, unquote, the force orders said. And just a little bit more here. I'm skipping a little bit here. The SIB or SIB will include the Fraud Squad, the Financial Crimes Investigation Division, the National Strategic Anti-Gang Division, NSAD, the Stolen Motor Vehicle Unit, Transnational Crime Investigation Division, TCID, Trafficking in Persons, TIP or TIP Unit, Intellectual Property Unit, IPU, Kidnapping Unit, Special Investigation Unit, Jamaica Fugitive Apprehension Team, and the Legal and Quality Management Unit. And there is quite a bit more. Listeners, viewers can take a read of the article. You can read more on this. Michael Diamond, how does all of this strike you?
It is, we also have to look at the backdrop of what is happening here. When you have a high-ranking member that is associated with a particular branch, and that investigation leads to a cesspool of corruption or mismanagement, there has to be some reorganization. So on one hand, we definitely want to commend the commissioner for taking this approach and also not delaying what ultimately would have been the inevitable. The fact
let me ask you to just pause 1 second, because you mentioned a cesspool of corruption. And before we have a legal letter being thrown at us by someone who is offended or who says that we're, defaming them, would you want to put some context? Because I don't know what you mean by a cesspool of corruption.
You're absolutely correct. Let us put some context to that. That the perceived perception that is a cesspool of corruption, because what happens here is based on Commissioner Blake's own remarks in regarding making these changes. It's just a matter of bringing a level of accountability, because what happened there, if we can recall from the news articles, is that there were quantities of drugs found there as storage for criminals or for individuals that were involved in criminal activities. So the confidence that the JCF has been able to achieve over the past several months, we don't want that public perception to be eroded. So the fact that the commissioner made this response in such a rapid and timely manner, we do have to commend that. And of course, there are benefits that can occur with the merging of these particular branches. And far too long, there's this perception of disconnect. Like, are they not communicating with each other when in fact a lot of the crimes are so interrelated, but yet still, it seems as if each particular branch is unaware of what the other is dealing with. So there are some advantages that are going to come now. I guess what we would be looking for is just the communication coming out of the JCF have to be basically consistent with the activities that are now taking place, so that the public, would be reassured that it's not creating this large body of confusion, and rather a streamlined organization that will basically help with the communication of the different branches.
Hold those thoughts first for a second, Mr. Diamond, because we are upon a break already. Never enough time on the Morning Watch. Listeners and viewers, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Mama work hard, for real. She do the most to send me and my brother go school. So, the dream was always to go to university. Well, I fulfilled 2 dreams with 1 Jane Bank savings plan, you know. I further my education and I make mama proud.
See you say you can make the part, travel far, graduate like a star.
Stop wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
Hurricane Melissa may be over, but the emotional impact can linger. It's normal to feel anxious, sad, or overwhelmed. Talk about your feelings, stay connected with family and friends, and reach out for help if you need it. Call the Mental Health and Suicide Prevention Helpline at 888 New Life. That's 888-639-5433. You can also access the You Matter chat line by messaging the word support to 876-838-4897 or at You Report Jamaica. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch, and we're having an interesting discussion with lawyer Michael Diamond, President, Consumers Intervention, Jamaica. And the topic in this first watch is CTOC gutted, smarter policing or risky reset. In fact, there is an article in yesterday's Observer entitled CTOC gutted. And just to add a little bit more context, Mr. Diamond, in terms of what you have been commenting on so far, before you continue, sir, you did make mention of some contraband. You never use the word contraband, but contraband that was found at CTOC. And my apologies for that. Now, the article is entitled Illegal Cocaine Found During Audit of CTOC. And this one is dated, a January dated article. It is dated in January of 2026, January 23rd, 2026. I'm taking a while to come up here, but Mr. Diamond, you would likely be aware of the article, sir. The fact is that you can always have anything being found anywhere at any time. It doesn't mean that change in the organization is going to, it doesn't mean that changing the organization is going to, or having a new entity is going to stop this sort of thing from happening, Mr. Diamond. So I don't know if having a new entity is going to necessarily cure that.
You're absolutely right, and considering Stokely is that it may not necessarily be something that needs to be cured, because the actions of a few can certainly influence the perception of the entire, force, and that is not something that we want. But the reality of it is that when we look back at the history of CTOC, for where it's coming from, where its establishment was also because of other branches being merged because of perception again of certain things, that mismanagement of it that created that. So here we are again on the heels of doing such because of.
I know I'm jumping in here, Michael Diamond, but we could have this new entity, SIB. It might last for 4 or 5 years, even 20 years. There are a series of scandals, and then they dismantle it and form something else. So,
and that's possible. That's very possible.
How do you address this sort of thing?
The fact is that one of the things we have to also be mindful of is the information that we have as the public may not be as substantive as what the commissioner has in order for him to make these changes. But we also have to identify that
it could be true,
if in fact that he saw it fit based on where they are and where they need to be and the direction that we're going in, that this is the appropriate changes at this point. I am also certain to imagine that they will also put in place processes that will allow to catch these type of matters early rather than later. Because again, this audit is coming on the heels of, a high-ranking officer being caught with cocaine. So with contraband. So this is not just a one-off situation. We're looking at the fact that how have they been operating? And again, this audit certainly would have given them the information necessary to assist with this formation of this new branch. And again, this can actually be a plus, a win-win, as far as the communication, the streamlining of investigations are concerned, and the cooperation, especially due to the fact that there are also a wealth of experience and specialized individuals that are also going to be now, joined together. So oftentimes change is necessary. And I would say that the fact that they didn't delay on introducing this is a plus.
Could it be that even though there might have been something that could have triggered the formation of this new unit, that at the end of the day, it's about, and I mean, I'm not trying to speculate, but at the end of the day, it might just be an opportunity to, improve, streamline, and you alluded to that earlier, bring everything under one umbrella rather than have sort of silos where people may not always know what each other is doing. But at the end of the day, too, you can have silos in a large entity as well. So you might have a new SIB and it seems good and it is intended to be good. But sometimes the larger an entity is the more monolithic. I think you use that term. It can be. And you can end up having challenges with decision making. It might take even longer sometimes to get things done. I don't know if you have any thoughts.
No, man, that is true. That is true, because having a larger entity with all these branches can also create some type of cumbersome when it comes down to communication. And as you correctly identified, with leadership. So while this unfolds and more information becomes available, we'll be able to see exactly what the direction is for establishing this new branch. But again, one of the key things is the fact that they have identified, they have assessed. And I would also imagine that this change wasn't just overnight, and this was possibly something that was on the table being discussed. And these occurrences basically pushed it forward to say, based on the fact that they are in a silo, which helped to contributed to these activities going undetected. So guess what? Let us scrap this. This is really not working. This audit didn't identify that this has been significant gains for the JCF or for the members of the public. Therefore, organizing this new branch is something that will streamline, again, bring all these branches together that may have been operating in this vacuum to begin with. So it is a benefit that we haven't delayed this, because there's no denying the fact that JCF has made significant gains in the past several months and years. So we have to continue on those gains, and we do have to trust the decisions of those individuals.
Certainly this bit of news about what came out of the audit did not augment the positive image that the JCF has been building over the last couple of years. It certainly wouldn't have, Mr. Diamond, would it have? No, not at all.
Well,
I thought you were going to say something a moment ago, but maybe you were saying something, Mr. Diamond?
No. I'm
Okay.
listening to you.
Okay, I see. I wasn't sure if you were muted. What are the implications, though, you think, in terms of public confidence? You mentioned communication with the public, but do you think the public per se will feel any differently about the activities of the JCF by the creation of a new entity? It's not the first time, by the way, that the JCF has, as it were, transitioned from one unit to another. The fact that we even had CTOC, that in itself was a merger of other entities, including the flying squad. So do you think, how do you think the public as a whole will view all of this?
I would say that, while we haven't gotten all the feedback as yet, the fact of the matter is that it's coming at a very good time where, the favorability with where the JCF is now is higher than where it was, past years. So I would say that building on that, the public confidence would also be that since they have done this, it can only be greater and better if that particular leadership saw it fit that a new branch needed to be established in order to prevent and curtail what the audit has revealed and what their own internal investigations have revealed. So I would say that the confidence or the public trust will continue to grow because the decision is coming not on the heels of simply, this any corruption or any unnecessary controversy, but rather on the discipline and what we see right now is gainful leadership of the JCF. So I would imagine that public confidence will continue to grow. And as I said, from in my own opinion, is that the fact that this occurred without delay, without bureaucratic ramblings, is very important to show that their decisiveness when it comes to stemming certain type of behavior that can bring disrepute to the force.
A quick question though. We're not trying to speculate, but just a thought, just in general terms. If an organization discovers a problem, can't you just attack that problem without necessarily making any structural changes?
Yes, I think it's possible. And I think what would have to guide that decision is actually the history and, of course, the whole value fit for purpose. If the fit for purpose is no longer there, then we do have to make that change. Because one of the things, individuals resist change because of complacency. And that complacency can also be one of the reasons why, a certain perception lingers for so long. And the change is something that's always naturally resisted. But ultimately, these are the decisions that have to guide, the mission. And that mission is to improve, policing and national security for Jamaica. So the fact that the commissioner saw it fit based on the information available to him and others at that time is something that we have to put our confidence in based on where we are today versus where we were years ago.
The whole matter of smarter policing or a risky reset, as is in the title of this morning's First Watch, CTOC gutted. Smarter policing or a risky reset. Any comments before we wrap on the tail end of the topic? Smarter policing or a risky reset?
It's on one hand of it, we cannot ignore the fact that it could just be public relations, to say that we're making these changes and these changes will stem what occurred. It would be very naive of us to think that. And again, not focusing on the public.
I'm going to stop you for a second, sir. There's nothing in the topic that suggests this is a PR stunt.
I was just really referring to that the heading, of smart policing or risky or reset. Is that yes? It is smart policing.
Smart policing could suggest digital technology being used. I don't know.
No, but I guess it seems a bit kind of cheeky to say risky or reset. It's not necessarily a reset. I would say it's a realignment. Of priorities. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, it's definitely a realignment that will be able to bring again the cohesiveness, the better communications and better cooperation between branches, and also it reduced the competition between the branches because they're now under this one umbrella. So it's very important for us to give that support. And again, of course, we're going to keep them, we're going to hold them accountable, going forward. But the reality of it is that they cannot operate in a vacuum. And what occurred with the contraband being found at CTOC, that is something that should never have happened, and we cannot allow it to continue.
Well, of course, remember, at the end of the day, a lot of these are allegations, and we will see what happens going forward. But I want to thank you, Michael Diamond, for sharing your thoughts with us this morning on this interesting topic. CTOC, smarter policing or riskier reset. Thank you so much for your time and for your thoughts, sir. Always good having you, sir. Always welcome your insights.
Thank you, Stokeley. Always a pleasure.
Viewers and listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Start your journey with a JN Small Business Loan with small business loans as little as $10,000 and up to $4 million. The time by JN Small Business Loan is
7:30.
Share in the experience at Fontana Pharmacy. We have a wide variety of items in store just for you. Fill your prescriptions while you shop. And senior citizens enjoy 10% off. Shop household, cosmetics, toys, and many other departments. We also offer curbside pickup and delivery. Visit our website at fontanapharmacy.com. Fontana Pharmacy, where it's all good inside.
Clean hands are good for your health. In the wake of Hurricane Melissa, protecting your health includes a simple act: washing your hands. Use soap and safe water to remove dirt and germs after cleaning, before eating, and after using the toilet. If clean water is limited, use hand sanitizer with at least 60% alcohol. Remember, clean hands stop the spread of disease and help to keep families safe. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and they're doing. And we have here in the Jamaica Observer, there's a story here on the front page: collateral blood. That sounds very concerning. This story by Casey Williams. Cops suggest foreign link in deadly shooting of 4-year-old. And reference to a story at page 10. Hospital construction boost coming. Hospital construction boost coming. And we turn now to the Gleaner. We have here Gleaner Online, Tuesday, February 10, 2026. At the top of the page, online, it says Jamaica Now. Court accepts Joylan Silvera's plea. There's another one here. Nursing home evicted. And another one, Starlink procurement breach. Among the latest news, California sues websites that publish blueprints for 3D printer ghost guns. And another one, this is concerning 50 cases referred to sexual harassment tribunal to date. 50 cases. And among the lead stories in the Gleaner, Maypen horror. A resident of the usually quiet Glenmore Drive in Maypen, Clarendon, is still shaken after recalling the horrifying moment a terrified 12-year-old boy came tearing through the streets late Sunday night, crying out that his mother had been killed, and that story continues. Those and many other stories in both of our news sources. Of course, coming up next, we will read for you some of the feedback from our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp question, which is: have recent police scandals affected your trust in law enforcement? If you haven't done so yet, leave your responses on our Facebook or YouTube. Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
Love takes center stage, but not the easy kind. It's the month of love, and we're diving deep into two powerful biblical love stories, Hosea and Gomer, and Jacob and Rachel. One shows a love that waits patiently, the other a love that pursues relentlessly, even after betrayal. Tuesday, February 10, on The Rock, join guests Reverend Dr. Ralston Nemard and Raphael Gale as they talk about what these relationships teach us about marriage, commitment, forgiveness, and the way God loves us with a love that never gives up. Listen as they unpack the lessons, warnings, and the hope hidden in these unforgettable stories. And in Now Time Revelations feature, we turn our attention to leadership, from political scandals to moral decline in governments, through the lens of 2 Timothy 3, 1-5, and Isaiah 3, verse 12. All this and more on The Rock, Tuesday, February 10 at 10 a.m. right here on the family station, Love 101.
It is our anniversary month. On the next mailbox, we'll be focusing on the topic, how to love a man. Loving a man involves actively respecting him, validating his efforts, and communicating affection through both words and actions. Key actionable ways to show love include expressing gratitude, supporting his goals, and encouraging his independence. You are invited to join the conversation with our special guest, Pastor Shane O'Connor and Mr. Alan Matthew Isaacs, as they share on ways of providing a man with physical affection, emotional affection, and creating a safe space for him to be himself. That's Wednesday, February 11 at 5:30 p.m. only on the family station, Love 101, celebrating 33 years of shining the light of Christ to the world. The Mailbox, Monday.
Go travel like Mary, you walk or use your boot.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look at what our friends in the social media land space have to say in relation to our question. And the question is, have recent police scandals affected your trust in law enforcement, Jakal?
All right. Cherry in Spanish Town says what the commission is doing is very commendable, and we need to pray and support them, for this is not overnight happenings. It's a realignment of the force going forward. Then we have Monica.
All right.
Monica says recent revelations have not changed my perception of the force. Corruption has been prevalent in the JCF for quite some time, throughout the rank and file. Too many good police officers have left, while the bad apples or the rogue ones remain. Those are our responses.
Very interesting responses. Thank you, sir. We move right into the second watch. And, the topic for this second watch, a very interesting topic. Pets versus children. Are we preferring to parent pets? Oh, what an interesting topic. And more Jamaicans are delaying marriage. Well, I think more people globally are delaying marriage. Fewer women are having children, and at the same time, we're seeing a growing attachment to pets. Well, I'm not so sure about that, but let us hear what our guests have to say. Dogs and cats increasingly treated not just as companions, but as children. I think I saw something like that recently here in Jamaica, where someone was feeding a cat with a nipple bottle. I found that very interesting. International research shows that in some countries, pets now outnumber children in homes. Really? And here in Jamaica, our total fertility rate has dropped to 1.9. That is very concerning, because the statistics say that you need at least 2.1 to replace the population. And of course, 1.9 is below the replacement level, it is said, needed to sustain a population. Are pets becoming replacements for children? That's really... Probably had a little difficulty even reading that question. But our guests to help us unravel this and talk about this. It needs to be spoken about, by the way. I think it needs to be spoken about. We have Pamela Lawson, animal advocate and welfare specialist, managing director, Jamaica Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, JSPCA, and Sonia Winter, associate clinical psychologist, Tea House Therapy. Sonia Winter and Pamela Lawson. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Stokeley.
Good morning. Good morning.
Is it Sonia or Sonia Winter?
You know, I go by either. I've forgotten to tell you the truth. so I'm happy to accept either.
Yeah, okay, fine. Well, okay. So I'm going to jump right into this one, because the idea of pets replacing children, it's first of all, I think it's totally unbiblical, but maybe neither of you care about that. I don't know. But are pets becoming replacements for children? I'm reading the question as I see it on the script. Are pets becoming replacements for children? Let me start with the psychologist, Sonia Winter.
Yeah. Okay, answer to that question. Short answer, no. You mentioned earlier that people
I'm
are
happy you said that.
delayed.
I'm so happy you said that. I don't know what Miss Lawson will say, but
Yeah,
I don't know what
you
Pamela Lawson will
mentioned
say, but I'm
you
happy you
mentioned
said that.
yeah, you mentioned earlier, Stokeley, that people are delaying marriage, and that's true.
Yes.
But I think what's more relevant to this conversation is that couples are delaying parenthood. Okay,
Yes.
and because of that, there is
Well, you see, this is the Morning Watch, and we are a religious media station, so we would have probably framed the question, framed it that way, marriage.
okay.
But continue.
Yeah, parenting is delayed
Yes.
worldwide, not just in
Yes.
Jamaica, worldwide. And perhaps, I mean, maybe a sociologist could help us, but I imagine it's particularly as more and more women go out into the workforce, you know what I mean, and build careers and so on. Um, you know, they're being more deliberate about when they start their families. So as a result, there is a period.
1 second, Sonia Winter. Is it that it's so in non-Islamic countries? I get the sense that in the Islamic countries, they are proceeding to have out there a lot. And
Not as far as I know. My
matter.
understanding is that this cuts across ethnicities,
Yes.
religions, creeds, countries, nations. You know, it is a general, it's an international phenomenon, right?
Well, why I
Where
raise it is because I gather that in some Western countries, countries
Mhm.
in the West where the birth rates tend to be lower,
Mhm.
the average numbers of children that couples from Eastern countries, you know, they still have more children than those from the West. That's my
Okay,
understanding.
I can't comment
Yeah.
on that, but as what we're
Countries like
discussing
Canada,
is
for example.
really why what we're discussing is how pets become more a phenomenon that more young people are having in, you know, as companionship, you know. So more and more, because there's a, you know, a gap between living on your own or having some
Yeah.
independence and
Yes.
starting a family. You
Yeah.
know, there's this, pets are serving, almost do serve as can serve as emotional comfort. Quite frankly, we use them in therapy to help people, you know.
You
They
do?
do help. Yes,
Really?
we do. Absolutely. And they do help with stress relief. Yeah, you know, your body actually, you know, in the same way that human beings receive affection from
No,
others,
wait,
you know.
that's another topic. How do you use them in therapy? In
Okay,
30 seconds. In 30 seconds.
sure. Okay, I hear Pamela smiling
I
and
heard, yes, I
laughing.
hear her, yes, I hear her
um
laughing.
you know, emotional comfort dogs in particular are a real thing there, and there are a number of psychologists. I once had a psychologist as part of the team who focused on using animals in therapy. And the truth is that when you express affection to an animal, either by
Yeah.
patting
So
it
you
or
pat the dog.
stroking it, yeah, you know, a dog, a horse, a cat, by stroking it, your body actually produces a little dopamine. You know, you get wellness hormones just by the sense of having to care for something
I
or
remember when I was
connect.
a child, I used to play with the puppies. But we used
Absolutely.
to have dogs, and we used to play. So when the puppy was very
And
small, and
uh-huh.
it had this little head, you know, and there was this part of the top of the head that could like move. This is a part of the skull underneath the head of the puppy.
Yes,
So
yes, I
I
know
would
the
play with
feeling.
it. But then, of course, as the dog grew bigger, of course, it's not, you know.
Well, I have to, full disclosure, Pamela, I'm not really an animal lover to that. I grew up with animals, but I'm not so comfortable with them, to tell you the truth. But I do know that for many of us human beings, you know, having an animal around can bring a certain degree of emotional comfort, you know.
Well,
And
let's bring her in for a second here before
sure,
everything.
Pamela, let me
Pamela
hand over to
Lawson,
you.
what are you offended by all of what we are saying here?
Not really. I think it's
What
knowledge is
kind of?
power,
What
isn't
kind
it?
of?
Knowledge is
Touch
power.
us.
And the thing is, what is you all fail to understand is society is becoming a very lonely place nowadays. As much as we have social media.
You said the society is becoming a very lonely place. Okay,
It
hold that
is.
thought. I'm getting a signal. We're at the break already, but I want you to delve into that after the break. Society is becoming a very lonely place. Viewers and listeners, very interesting. Let's hear more from both of our guests. We'll be right back We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Time on Love is now 7:45 a.m.
Hey, my peeps, get this on the regular. Your HIV status if you consider. At least if a test once a year. Just 15 minutes and your status clear. Cause it might not show up on your timeline and you learn too late, so you're out of time. A progressive future, mandatory. Really long life, our story. You hear?
Remember, update your status in a real life. Go HIV test today.
Just 15 minutes and your status clear. Really long life, our story.
Real long life was a youth coming from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Persons with disabilities and their caregivers. Register on I Am Able, My JCPD, the official digital platform of the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities. Created in partnership with UNICEF, the online platform makes it easy for you to connect to information, programs, and support. Sign up today at jcpd.gov.jm/IamAble or call the JCPD Help Desk at 876-447-0444 for assistance. The Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, educating, advocating, empowering.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch at the topic. Very interesting topic. Pets versus children. Are we preferring to parent pets? I hate reading that question. Are we preferring to parent pets? You see how many errors I made just reading that? It's difficult to read. Our guests are Pamela Lawson, animal advocate and welfare specialist, managing director, Jamaica Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, JSPCA, and Sonia Winter, associate clinical psychologist, T-House Therapy. Pamela Lawson, just before the break, you were saying that society is becoming a very lonely place in the context of this topic. I want you to dive into that somewhat if you can.
What I'm trying to say is, yes, we have all this social media, there's so much interaction online, but people are not connecting anymore. Whether you like it or not, it's a fact. They don't connect. And so we have agreed that people are putting off marriage or having families, etc. And there are much more pets in the home. And it was only inevitable Jamaica would start going that route, because we do imitate and take on a lot of the habits from abroad. And guess what? We've all globally, there are no real borders per se anymore. So a lot of traveling, a lot of interaction. And animals give love unconditionally. That is the thing about animals. What you give them, they're going to give you 10 times back.
The tame ones, the ones that are tame or that can be tamed.
All can be tamed, but yes, when we take in a pet, it does become an integral part, and it should be a part of your family. So it's a hard thing to say that, are we giving up children? I have children. I'm not a grandmother. I'm in my 60s. My children are ranging from mid-30s to the high 20s. They too are all doing quite well, but have no families. They may even be married, but no families. Because they're involved in their careers, it's harder for these young people as well nowadays to establish economically, as well as in the business world, establish themselves. There's so much more being demanded of them. And that is also can be attributed to social media. So what do? They get a pet who will give them that love, give them that attention. They can fuss over them. And there's nothing wrong with that. But yes, it's going to affect the population. It is. And I don't know if Sonia agrees with me, but it is a fact.
Well, I think
it's a challenge, Pamela Lawson, but I hear what you're saying. I'm not undermining what you just said, by the way. I understand what you mean. I just
may I say that
agree with that part of it where you said nothing is wrong with it. I think it's a challenge.
Nothing's wrong with it. Why is
know.
there something wrong with it? I mean, we're
I
all
just
God's creatures. And as Sonia was
really
saying, we use animals in therapy. I take animals to Children's Hospital because guess what?
I know
The
what you mean.
children get better quicker.
I know
Absolutely.
what you mean.
And think about it. We're also an aging population, right? People are living
Tell
longer
us about
and
that some more,
animals,
Senior Winter. The aging
sure.
population.
Well, people are living much longer, right? So the
Yes.
average life age of people is, because the replacement birth
1.9 for
control
Jamaica.
is falling
And
and
some
people are
countries is
living
even lower.
longer,
Some countries
right? The
is lower than
average.
1.9.
Right. There are much more people in the mature and
Older
elderly
group.
group, right? And that's true worldwide, right? As people live longer. And the truth is that animals are fantastic for older people as well as companionship, They really are. And I want you to note too, that it's true that young people without families are having animals to look after, and to as part of their families, but so do people with families. You know what I mean? Human beings always had pets around
No,
them,
man, I'm fine
always.
with that. I'm fine with the family having the pet because you have the family. But the pet replacing the children, that's just I just
How
feel
it?
something
Well, I'm not sure that
broken
child
my
is
skin.
replacing. No, it's. Why do you see it as replacing? It's almost as if the young person has a choice, child or pet, and that's not so. The young person is
It's
choosing a
not.
career. The young person is choosing a career. You know what I mean? Lord knows. I mean, it does cause a gap in their life, and there are many more unhealthy ways that they could fill that gap. Lord knows. It's what keeps me in a job, quite frankly, because people cope in such unhealthy ways, you know. Um, and so it's not that people are making a choice to replace. It's that it's a
No.
different lifestyle. Talked about that people are disconnected. The fact that we are disconnected is also a result of urbanization as
Yeah,
cities grow,
Yes.
yeah.
and strangers from different places come to live in the same
You don't
place.
know people
We will be
anymore as much as before.
absolutely, we will be disconnected, so that's true of the society. So the point is that it's an aging society. People are delaying having families. um there's urbanization. All of these things create realities that we have to adjust to, and frankly, having pets is a very healthy way to adjust to that. Having pets around you.
What about simply people finding a way to just get around the economic hurdles, etc., and start the families and increase the birth
that
rate to
is a
more than
that is a
1.9?
that is a minority. It's not
Yeah.
That's a minority. People are focused on their careers and getting financial stability, right? The truth is that
Or we're too materialistic. Our grandparents and great grandparents and great great grands weren't so worried about it. They kept having children regardless. And they
yes,
did
and as
even
a
though some
result,
yeah,
Stokely,
yeah.
remember that Jamaica, there was a time in our history, up to say 1970, when
Yeah.
the our replacement rate was 4 to 1, and that was brought about. It meant that our economic development was going to be stymied by that fact. It was
I
the
disagree
highest in
with
the
that.
Caribbean. You know what I mean? And so there
That's
were
what we
a
are
number.
told, but I don't know if that is true. But continue.
Uh,
We are told
okay,
that, but
I
that
suppose
I think that is the narrative, but I don't
that
necessarily
what
agree that
that
our economic development is going to be stymied by having more children because it might actually be worsened by having a 1.9 or
no,
low.
what I'm saying is,
No.
understand what I'm saying is that
Yes,
in terms of economic development, right? If you
yes,
if you're
yes.
gonna have that, you have to have social systems that keep up with that to support that population, and we couldn't
You
afford
need,
that.
you need to
That's
have
a
you need
reality.
to have more people to sell goods and services to. If you're going to 1.9 and below, who are you going to sell products to?
Yeah, but well, I don't want to get into an economic conversation.
I understand. I
It's not
understand.
my skill at all. But I
Let's
just
go
want
back
to
to
point
pets.
out that, yeah, I just want to point out that worldwide, right? You need to ensure that your population growth matches your infrastructure, your social structures, etc. You know what I mean? And I mean, if you recall that I'm just want to point out that it's a changing landscape. You know, I guess on another show you can
Totally.
debate whether it's good, whether each change is good or bad. You know, that those are other questions. You know,
We're doing that
but
here too,
that
in a subtle way.
sorry,
We're doing that here too in a subtle way. But I
indeed,
want
but
to ask you this though, Sonny Winter, and I want to bring back in Pamela Lawson.
sure.
Women and men, do women relate to pets differently from men in terms of this whole notion of, well, I hate to use the word companion, but it was used by one of you on the show. Do women and men relate to pets differently in that regard? Sonny Winter.
I find that.
Oh,
I
Pamela
would
Lawson.
say
You
so.
can come in, Pamela Lawson. Do women and men relate to pets differently in that regard?
I'm not
Go
sure I
ahead, Pamela.
understand the question.
In other words, do women treat pets as companions in a different way from men or males? Let me say males and
Oh,
females.
I don't know
The
what
broad-
the statistics are.
Yes. How do
I don't
women
know.
relate to pets versus men in this regard, in this context, in this
I don't know
conversation?
if we have any statistics to demonstrate that, Stokely. I think
No,
we'd all
we don't.
just be speaking from our anecdotal information, which are
I'm
not
only
always
going off
helpful.
what I see here. I'm seeing I'm seeing something here in relation to that women versus men. We already addressed the emotional issues, and economics came up, and social stability issues came up. In terms, before we wrap this morning, there's never enough time on the morning watch. What impact generally, we're touching it before, but generally speaking, in terms of how you are able to cope and deal with the stresses of life. Any final words you want to leave with us in terms of what gaps these pets are filling, starting with you, Pamela Lawson, and then Sonia Winter, we wrap. Pamela Lawson.
And like I said, I consider a lot of people are taking in pets because they need that unconditional affection and love and responsibility. And as for whether men or women treat animals different, women will always be more emotional. But I can tell you, based on the clients that come into JSPCA, men will spend a lot more money to look after their pets.
I see. Interesting. You said that. Okay. Sonia Winter.
I would say there's always been a healthy relationship between human beings and animals. You know, the whole process of domestication is one where animals have supported us and we have supported animals.
Yes.
I think that continues, and I think it's a good thing. You know, I don't think that the question is about, am I choosing a family or a pet? That those are not the questions that people are answering when they take on a pet into their household.
Okay. Yes. I had seen someone feeding a cat once with a baby bottle, and I found that very interesting. Pamela Lawson,
I'm sure they do that at the JSPCA.
Oh, yes, we do that.
I don't think that's unusual, Stokely.
I found it weird.
Those little puppies that you had where you were stroking the head, you never ever had to
Never.
bottle feed them.
And the dogs
And they
never
probably
came in,
never lost their mother.
and they never came in the house either. Dogs must stay outside.
Oh Lord.
But I like them being around, but outside. Well, I want to thank both of you ladies for being with us.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you, Pamela.
And
Same here, Sonia.
I don't think you're a stranger to the morning watch anymore, Pamela Lawson. We have had you here before, and it was good having you on, even though we may not necessarily agree on everything, but
no, not necessarily.
I like animals, by the way, but I just think they have their place and they must stay in that place.
We are a team, though. We are a team.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Mrs. Lawson.
All right. Take care.
Listeners and viewers for being with us. Join us again tomorrow as we look at other topical and controversial issues. Visit the Love 101 FM YouTube channel and Facebook page for this and all other Love 101 FM programs. And of course, download our Love 101 app and stay connected to us, a family station, Love 101 FM, the #1 gospel station in Jamaica. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guests. Join me again tomorrow as I look at other issues of the day. I am Stokeley Marshall, handing back to Love in the Morning with Jukal.
That was the Morning Watch, and I do hope that you were enlightened by the conversations. It is now 8 a.m., and you are now invited to